roving eye, and that is why she satisfies my soul. I got the one and only walking, talking little dog. Take a look at the hand. It's real. If you don't believe what I say, just feel her up in the dark. So no way out and steal away from me. Got myself a crying, talking, sleeping, walking, living dog. I'm gonna do my best to please her, just 'cause she's a living dog. Got a roving eye, and that is why she satisfies my soul. I got the one and only walking, talking, living dog. Middle hand. Take a look at her hair. It's real. You don't believe what I say, just feel. Gonna lock her up in the dark. I know it. Okay, Graham, take it. Steal from me. Got myself a crying, talking, sleeping, walking, living dog. I'm gonna do my best to please her, just 'cause she's a living dog. Got a roving eye, and that is why she satisfies my soul. I got a one and only walking, talking, living dog. It's written by Ronald Bart. It's written by Ronald Bart, who's a great friend of ours. Yeah, it's Ronald wrote that.
And he wrote Rock with the Caveman.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And I don't think anybody would ever get tired of the fact that the British became so enamored with American music and basically sold it back to us. We're the folks that sort of, took it in and then kind of turned a blind eye. And a lot of the stars from the 50s are more revered in the UK than they are here, sadly, or in the States. I know we're on the water right now.
Yeah, I think the thing was, over in England, we were just accepting it all as one, whereas music had certain stratas in America and people weren't crossing boundaries. So we, like us guys were the age that got in about 4 years, the best of Motown, the best of rockabilly, the best of early rock and roll, the best of country and western, the best of folk, and the best of 20 years worth, all compressed in 4 years. And we repackaged it and sold it back.
I think also, America's got a wonderful history of music that is associated with people. And I don't think we have that in England. And so you had all the rockabilly, you had the blues, you had everything. And we didn't have any of that. And if you wanted to, when I was at school, if you wanted to learn guitar, you had to learn Spanish guitar with gut strings, no steel strings. And we were watching these shows from America, like the Perry Como show, and you see the Everly Brothers playing these wonderful black guitars. And you think, where can I get one of those from? And how do you play it anyway? And but I mean, my bass, which I recorded, the first like 10 albums with, it was the first one I'd ever seen in Birmingham, and they didn't exist. Fender basses did not exist, and I bought it in 1959, and I didn't know how to play it. No one knew how to play them, and you just had to take it to bed and 24 hours a day trying to find out how it worked. And then you had to find an amplifier that could actually play a bass, because they were very difficult, instruments, you had big speakers. And so we never had any of that history of rock and roll. It just descended on us. And I think, England was coming out of, World War II and, whatever. And so it was pretty austere, times. And this was such a great opening for us, for young people to find something that was only for young people. Just brilliant.
And how were your families, a lot of kids will tell their parents, I'm going to be a rock star, and they go, yeah, right, you're going to be a rock star. Go study accounting, kid, you don't know what you're talking about. Were your families supportive of your musical dreams?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, mine certainly were, yeah. But it was a different time. Remember that you could, for me, I left school in 1964, and I was very lucky to get a job with Marty Wilde, and was I left school in July, and I was playing with Marty really by September. I did a couple of months in office, but only while I was waiting. I turned professional in Swindon, which meant staying in bed in the mornings. Because guys, musicians you see around Swindon say, "You turned professional yet?" I said, "No, I'm thinking about doing that next week." Remember that?
Yeah, my dad had
Well, they didn't talk like that in Birmingham, they did in Swindon.
My dad had a definition of a professional musician. It was somebody who'd rather starve than work.
Yeah.
And the day, do you remember the day where you're able to justify it all to your parents? I know they were supportive and stuff.
No, that didn't need to be done, because I think what I was going to say really was that we were very fortunate in the time that we grew up, really, when we were, when we were at school. When I was 16 or whatever it was, there were jobs. You could walk into a job, so that wasn't difficult where I lived anyway. So if you wanted to work in an office or something.
If you really needed a job, you'd go down the job centre and get a choice of 8 or 10.
Yes. So
It was very different time.
it wasn't a risky thing. Mind you, I think it's probably less risky to become a musician now than.
Yeah, because you can't get a job
That's
anyway.
right. I'm going to jump every day.
Might as well do something. Absolutely right.
But I mean, for me, it was Marty Wilde when I was with Marty, because Marty was writing his own songs but had a lousy publishing deal, and he was writing songs under someone else's name, and having success with those with other people, and really he told me that really it's no good doing cover versions or anything, and I think we all realised that pretty quick within the band. He just said, to survive in the business you have to develop your own style and your own character, and I think I took that to heart, so I started writing songs then and making some awful records as well.
Do you remember, any of you remember the first song you wrote? Either one of you wrote?
Yeah, but I'm not going to play it to you.
No, I know. I'm not asking. Well, when did the point come
Yeah.
where you were confident enough to actually take that back? When you record a song, even today, as a band solo, for the three of you, how do you know when it's done?
When it's finished. How do you know when it's finished?
Yeah, how do you know when it's finished and it's ready to be, released? I mean, is it a group decision, or do you say, no, that's it, we got the mix? How does that work?
No, that point finds itself, honestly. It's not, there's not an issue with that.
You sort of look down and there's a beginning, a middle and an end, and you go, it's finished.
It's not rocket science, thank goodness.
Well, it's rocket science for a lot of us,
Yeah, but it's a natural thing. That's why it's hard to. I never try to analyze it at all. So it's just something that is there, and trying to explain it by making things up about how it's done is an abuse of it somehow. And so it's a wonderful thing, and I respect that. So it's a great pleasure for all of us.
I wanted to, artists today, as we know, you release an album, if you're lucky, every 4 years, maybe. But I was kind of reviewing some notes And just the amount of material that you put out. I mean, from 67 through the early 70s, we had 7 albums, and there was even 1969, there were 3 albums in 1 year. And now, Graham, you always joke about the 60s, but the 70s were a very busy time. How did you keep that pace? That had to be demanding, plus, of course, being on the road all the time.
We were just full of music, and all our dreams were coming true, all of the things that you sort of wished for but were afraid to wish too strong because it was way too big. They were past, and we were still going forward, and the sun was shining and fireworks were going off, and we were on this horse and we were galloping through life, and everything was happening and things were arriving, and you just felt you were like one of those guppies that millions did. You just get coming out of you. Just such a thrill. What a time to have had in your life.
We were under pressure not so much under pressure, but the record company really did want albums for us, and weren't that they saw. And in fact, I think we probably saw touring those as a way to put records in front of people. It's the other way around. I think the 3 of us took pleasure, and we like exploring the Moody's catalogue and playing songs that we only ever played for about 2 days.
Yeah.
I mean, there's things that say Nervous, or You and Me, things that we do on stage. We only ever did those songs for about 3 days, and then thought, right, that's not the move on to the next one. So you never really had time to enjoy them. But then we were under pressure in the 60s, early 70s by Decca, and they were very generous in studio time, and that was very precious because there was people all around you saying, don't forget this stuff only lasts for a few weeks. You're here today and gone tomorrow, you know.
Yeah.
And so we went. We were there then, and we've gone now.
And
We're still here, but actually, you know, everybody said that. I think we were a couple of years and then it's over. And so we had a lot to do and to say. We had something to say.
yeah. Now, why is it that, recording sessions back in those days, with the technology that we have today, you would think it would be like it was then? You seem to bang out albums, a week or 2 of recording, another week to mix, distribution, get the distribution plan in place, and out it goes. Now, it's, like I said, a 3-4 year process. Then it wasn't the case.
Well, there was a great thing in the 60s in that all the great record companies had their own studios. So we had Broadhurst Gardens, which was only a few hundred yards up the road from Abbey Road, and it was considered a better studio than an Abbey Road, but Abbey Road was famous, of course. And then Pi had their own studios, and each of the record companies had their own places. So they were paying lousy royalties for getting artists all the time. We were upstairs. I mean, the chairman of Decca gave us his best studio because he knew that it worked for us, and particularly with London Records in America with the encouragement of Walt McGuire. Did you know Walt McGuire?
Me? No.
No, didn't. And
I know the name.
Yeah, legendary. But all the time we were upstairs in that studio, enjoying ourselves, getting stoned and just making music in the dark, kind of thing. There were people downstairs in the number 2 studio. There was a line of boys and girls who were being auditioned every day, and each one, even Tony Clark, had to do like one day every couple of weeks to audition new groups, and that's how they found new acts. It wasn't a question of like X Factor or something. It was that was how they did it. They gave people auditions, and the producers would sit there and say, yeah, something in that, and they would pick out something. I remember we saw a group called Marmalade with the Calm, and then another group called Camel.
Savoy Brown.
Yes, Savoy Brown, that were just great. 10 years after, we're on Decca.
John Mayall.
John Mayall.
Decca Records, if you look at their archive, they're some of the greatest artists around. It's really fabulous. And somehow it got overlooked. Sir Edward Lewis, who was the chairman, and when he died, he sold the company off. And a lot of that legendary part of Decca, which really was English 60s, really disappeared. It's a shame. Like 10 years after.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We came to America, they were booked by Bill Graham at the same time in '68 that we were booked by Bill Graham. And it wasn't that we were, they were very different for us, and Alvin Lee, who's just passed away, sadly. And, but he was a very brave, you know, courageous kind of guitar player. He'd just go out there and do it. And great, you remember him, he was a great player.
Yeah.
But they kind of saw us, we were rivals in a way, even though our music was completely different, just because we were on the same label and the same things that were happening to us. In fact, they did play Woodstock.
Yeah.
They did.
And we were on the, if you look on Wikipedia, you'll see that we're on the poster of Woodstock.
That's right.
Have a look, yeah, you know that, yeah. So, because we were booked for it and then decided to play in Paris instead. It was just easier.
Also, at that time, we were making albums. We were like the album band upstairs, and everyone else was down in the other studios, and they were working, I think it was 3 sessions a day, which was like 9 till 12, 1 till 4, and 5 till 10. And in that time, you had to make a single record. You had to
Both
get
sides.
in there and make both sides in those 3 sessions. So they really were going in, recording 2.5 minutes, and yep, hit, no, it's not hit, yes, and whatever. And meanwhile, we're upstairs playing football.
In a smoky room.
In the dark room, yeah, that's for sure.
Oh,
Lovely.
Do you regret not playing Woodstock?
It wasn't meant to be, and we did other things. I think maybe the timing would have been wrong for us. We were more fortunate, really, in a way, when we look back, that we did the Isle of Wight, because the Isle of Wight was a terrible festival. Some people, I mean, some guy jumped up on the stage and Joni Mitchell was on, and Chris Cofferton, the crowd was very cruel to him. We were very fortunate in that we just had well, we had the #1 record in the NME, but it was #2 in the BBC because they had the #1 record of the BBC with the thing called Back Home. But we just had Question at the top of the charts. So when we came on, the crowd were really ready for us, and I think that was it was a better experience for us. I think we were. I'm not sure. Who knows with Woodstock? It's one of those what-ifs. We had played this huge festival in Paris, I think, the year before, so we did it again.
yeah.
Yeah.
What is the largest crowd you ever played for?
I think that one.
Isle of Wight or Paris?
Both Paris, probably.
Paris was the largest number that came only to see us. 250,000. Isle of Wight was the largest we ever played for, but they came to see a lot of people. That was 450,000. That's a lot of people.
Is there, you've been so fortunate to have traveled the world both professionally and personally with your families and stuff. Is there any place left that you would love to play that you have not gotten the opportunity yet?
That's a really difficult one, because if someone said to us we'd be here on the ship in Europe, and I wouldn't have missed this for anything. It's been beautiful.
And like we talked about yesterday, you're a band that not only does play, speaking for the U.S., the major markets, but you do go to some of those second and third and smaller cities, which is great. So, I know your fans.
It was wonderful when we were doing the concerts with the orchestras, because you go to a small town, and we've got this name called the World Festival Orchestra, and our conductor and our orchestral manager would he'd audition people like the week before, 2 weeks, and build an orchestra. And it was wonderful to go to a small town and you'd introduce them as their symphony orchestra. And you'd see everybody looking at you, gee, we got a symphony.
You have American accent very well. And I remember a couple of years ago, Justin, we were talking, and it had been one of the tours where you were starting to play a lot of historical theaters. It just so happened at that one tour, the Rowdy was.
Yeah.
Does the band have a say in where they want to play in terms of the venues?
I don't. No, I don't think we do. But there's a lot of no, we don't. It's that a lot of promoters that we've known for years, or relatively new acquaintances, really like to book the Moody Blues, and so if it's convenient for us. I mean, I believe this is how tours work. I don't think I shouldn't about too much, but we always used to say that our late manager Tom Hewlett had done on his dartboard because it was oh, they're going there, they're going there. But I think what they do is, I think what the agents do is to find, and the promoters, they find big places they're going to play, and then they fill in the gaps, you know. So you could be playing somewhere really out of the way on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night, but you'll be somewhere big on a Friday and Saturday. That's
because you want to keep the mileage down 250, 300. Not so much for us, but for the guys that have to break it all down, put it on trucks, drive through the night, get to the next place, set it all up, and then try and snatch a couple of hours sleep. And if you start giving them that breakdown.
Jones is on sound, the best sound guy we've ever had. And Mick Thornton is on the lights. Both of them have been with us a long time. We're very, very pleased.
Yeah, I must say you do have a very personable crew. They've all actually made themselves very accommodating, all introduced themselves to me and what can be done to help, so kudos to you guys. So it says a lot. And they've been with you a long time, a lot of these guys.
They have,
Brilliant. That's great.
All right, so as we start to, I don't want to make this a complete career span, but this question always just, gets different answers from everybody, and sometimes it's a very tough one, and I know it's something you've all been asked before, but looking back over the career of the band, is there a particular